next milestone, which is the 43101 drilling report, and then after that, once the external resource and reserve engineers do their work, we'll produce a 43101 with a indicated and inferred resource.
Hey everybody, welcome back. My next guest is Phil Thomas. He is the project geologist and the qualified person of Recharge Resources, company trading on the CSE under the symbol RR. Phil, welcome back.
Hi James, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Phil, since we last chatted late last year, we saw a couple of press releases come over the transom, and most impressively, to me anyways, as an investor, was that you've optioned off Pocitos 2, so that's going to move forward, and you've also settled on a program for starting work on Pocitos 1. So why don't you sort of update us on everything that's happened since we last chatted, end of 2022?
Sure. Well, the first drill hole we put, which is number 3 on the property of Pocitos 1, gave us outstanding results. We got good brine flow. We got good grades at 161 after we ran a 2-week program, and amazingly, the brine was coming out of the well by itself under the head pressure of the surrounding mountains. So that was a big tick. And then we have, just at the moment, the group geologists are going in there and doing another flow test so we can put that into our inferred and indicated resource statement, which is coming around the corner. The rationale behind optioning Pocitos 2 is to give us a longer length of production well line. So we'll be running somewhere between 25 and 35,000 megalitres of brine being processed into the Ekosolve system per year. And that just gives us another 5 or 10 pumping sites to add to those on the Pocitos 1. So it's basically all systems go, and we're pushing very hard towards our next milestone, which is the 43101 drilling report. And then after that, once the external resource and reserve engineers do their work, we'll produce a 43101 with a indicated and inferred resource.
Okay, so then in terms of the Ekosolve process, we talked about that a bit last time, but so how is that shaping up as a solution for concentrating the brine to battery grade?
The last couple of assays they've done have just been unbelievable. We've got close to, they've been able to achieve 95% recovery. In one case, 96.13% recovery of the lithium from the brine. So at 160 ppm, you're recovering 150, whereas you would need 330, 340 if you were using another system, which is not as efficient to get the same grade. At the moment, the 161 ppm brines are at the University of Melbourne, going through the pilot plant and being processed. And once they're processed into lithium chloride, the lithium chloride will be converted to lithium carbonate and the grade assayed. So that's the work that we've got on today, actually this week. And I'll be talking to the university later today, believe it or not, to see how they're going and make sure we've got plenty of sodium carbonate to mix to produce the lithium carbonate.
Yeah. What is the battery grade of metal? I'm always unclear on that. People talk about battery grade. What is the actual percentage of lithium purity?
Well, it's actually got 2 dimensions. The first dimension is just the amount of lithium in the lithium carbonate, and normally that's about 99.5. But the other side of the assay is what deleterious materials are in there. For example, boron, sodium, potassium, magnesium, and some of the lanthanides creep in there as well. So what you've got to do is make sure that those elements are quite low. And so, for example, if it's got high boron, in a traditional approach, you would use solvent exchange, ion exchange to get rid of it. Under the solvent exchange system, you don't have to worry about that because the solvent only collects the lithium and leaves everything else in the so-called waste brine. So it's a highly efficient system and ideal for the Pocitos 1-2 area because we have high magnesium in parts of the brine, although much lower than what we recorded in 2018 on this current drill program.
Right. And how has the prices of lithium affected the investor uptake of the company's progress at this point? Because we have seen lithium prices come off a bit, but so far, at least, Recharge Resources is powering ever higher in the share price.
Yeah, look, I think everybody that assumed that 75 to 80,000 tonnes of lithium carbonate really didn't have a good hold on the cyclical nature of commodities, and particularly lithium. Everybody, in terms of doing net present value or financial modelling, always put in between 30 and 45,000. It's come back to 47,500. But on the demand side, there are, I think, 216 gigafactories, of which a quarter of them are ready to go. There's the big Honda $4.4 billion solid state gigafactory, which is kicking off. So while 2023 in March is probably not right at the top of the demand curve, the curve is moving up as we go through. So 2025, I think we'll see a different landscape in terms of demand, which is kind of trailing the gigafactory production cycle at the moment. But as soon as it catches up, I suspect that the prices will be up there again. You got to remember the Argentinian government has a levy at 53,000 per tonne, and that hasn't dropped that benchmark number. So I would expect that this is just basically a catch up, and particularly Chinese buyers reducing demand. We've seen the same identical pattern in iron ore. It's gone from 130 down to 75 and back up to 130 today. So it's not unusual to see these cycles in the lithium carbonate price.
Sure. And how sensitive is the Ekosolve process as it pertains to Pocitos 1? How sensitive is that to price?
It doesn't really make much difference. It's really just the contained lithium at 161, and then we work out how many megalitres we have to pump, and then we work out what the cost of the plant is. So Recharge, I think, are thinking of a 20,000 tonne plant. That would cost about $230 million. The pump size, fortunately, 500,000 litre an hour pumps are fairly economical to buy. They're in the $20,000 to $30,000 range each. So your pumping stations, your pipelines don't change. Your equipment doesn't change because the throughput is 22 seconds for each wash. So if you're doing an 11 wash system, it's 3 or 4 minutes. So the timing is quite fast, and that size plant would easily manage a 20,000 tonne production facility. So the all-in cost we've estimated around about $8,000 a tonne, including the cost of the plant, including depreciation, maintenance over a 20-year time frame. And so that's still $40,000 or $39,000 profit at today's price.
Sure. And at this point, do you see any other direct lithium extraction technology that's comparable to Ekosolve at this point?
No, the market, there was one some time ago, but it wasn't a direct lithium extraction process. They had to scrub the magnesium and calcium out, which basically is a very expensive front-end exercise. And if you get 25 to 1 and you're using some sort of material to take it out, sodium sulfate or a liming process, that gets pretty expensive. So to date, we haven't seen any that are identical to the Ekosolve process in terms of just having one system of absorbing the lithium and then taking the lithium out to produce lithium chloride. Lots of resin systems around, lots of ion exchange around. Obviously, the reverse osmosis and ion exchange is the most popular, but it has its issues, especially where you get chemistry which doesn't quite match up to the capability of the membranes. They work beautifully in small pilot or small commercial plants and pilot plants, but when you shoot 25 or 35,000 megalitres at it, that's where you come into issues that you have to manage very, very closely.
You bet. All right, Phil, we'll leave it there for now. That's great. Thanks for the update. We'll come back to you soon. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, James. That's great.
You bet. Bye for now.